It's Saturday, and you know what that means. I'm a day late for ratings day because shit happens. Shit happens, life happens, and yeah, I can't be here all the fucking time, unfortunately. Shit happens, right? So, we're going to talk about the ratings for AEW Dynamite. They're not good. They're not good at all, and I'm not going to laugh at them today because I'm actually pretty concerned about these numbers, man. I am concerned. We're going to talk about the Vince documentary trailer because Netflix released the trailer for the Vince McMahon documentary. Some things in there surprised me, but I do have some concerns for it as well. There have been some lawsuits recently. What's his fucking name? Kevin Kelly suing AEW with the boys. Cody Rhodes is getting sued. I'm not really going to talk about them because, one, I don't really care. Two, I see them as nothing burgers, especially the Cody Rhodes one. Whoever the fuck is suing Cody Rhodes and WWE for the American Nightmare trademark, I believe it's for. Fuck them, they ain't going to win. First of all, they ain't going to win, right? Secondly, why only do this now? Why couldn't you have done this when Cody Rhodes was in Ring of Honor or AEW or anything like that? No, now because Cody Rhodes is so massive, now you want to do it. Fuck off. But the very first thing I want to talk about is not wrestling related, so if you want to skip it to the Vince segment, go ahead, that's what the timestamps are for. But the first thing I want to talk about is Dr. Disrespect. Now, I'm very annoyed and very pissed off with how people are dealing with this situation because Dr. Disrespect was called out by some people who are related to Twitch and journalists for speaking to a minor inappropriately, okay? Dr. Disrespect was very fishy and very shady until he eventually put out a statement saying that, he admitted that he had inappropriate conversations with a minor, okay? So he admitted to that. Then he went silent for quite a while. Yesterday, he came back, he did a stream, and he addressed, in his own way, the allegations. The first thing I want to say, okay, is if you are expecting me to side with Dr. Disrespect because we have similar ideologies on life, if you know what I mean, because Dr. Disrespect is against and I don't like to use this term, but the wokeness, okay, he's against that. I'm against that, and I don't mean the original term of recognizing injustices. I mean people who protest things that they don't understand because it's the current trendy thing and they think people are going to reward them for it, okay? That's what we're against, right? If people think I'm going to side with Dr. Disrespect because of that, you're very wrong. Because, A, he admitted to it in a tweet, and B, his statement that he made yesterday live on YouTube was full of shit, in my opinion, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say, he's a massive liar, but I am going to sit here and say he's a massive liar. First of all, okay? He did this statement in full gimmick, right? If you are addressing an allegation this big and you're innocent, right, you don't want to address this in gimmick. You want to address this as yourself, and you want to clear your name immediately because you're being accused of being the worst filth in all of this planet, right? If I was falsely accused of something like that, I would immediately clear my name. Immediately. Because I would not want to be put in with those sick, depraved people, okay? And I'm sure you'd be the same, right? He didn't do that. Secondly, right, or not secondly, this is part of the secondly, I believe he did this full gimmick, right? Because his gimmick, he wears them glasses, them big glasses, right? You can't see his eyes and his eye behavior, okay? Now, I could see his body language, his facial behavior, okay? Now, I'm not someone who's well educated on body language. However, I do know some. I can somewhat tell when someone's lying or trying to manipulate the truth in some way. That's what Dr. Disrespect was doing, in my opinion, because I could not see his eyes, but his face, the way he was moving around, the way he was having breaks and pauses, all seemed a little bit off to me. He tried to say that he posted minor in his tweet, then edited it out, then added it back in, because that's what everyone was saying, and it was true. In his first statement, he put individual minor, then he removed the word minor, then he edited it back in. He says that he did that to troll journalists. Now, I want you to put yourself in his shoes a minute, and I'll do the same. And we're going to say that we're innocent because us normal people, we don't talk to children inappropriately because it's sick and twisted. Okay? So, let's put ourselves in his shoes, but say that we're innocent and we haven't actually done this. Okay? What's the first thing you're going to do? The first thing you're going to do is clear your name. Immediately. You're not going to be cryptic and fishy and decide to troll journalists when you're being accused of being the worst thing on this entire planet. It doesn't make any sense. In my opinion, he admitted to it. Because he did. He admitted to it. Now, people are saying that the girl was 16 and she lived in a country where the age of consent is 16, right? Dr. Disrespect lives in a country where the age of consent is 18, right? Now, you've got to remember that Dr. Disrespect is in his 30s, I believe. He's in his mid-30s at least, right? And this girl's 16. So, why does that change anything, right? If I saw this in this country, where it is legal for a 16-year-old to have intercourse, I would call that person a sick fuck paedophile. Because that's what they are. How can someone in their mid-30s do something or not just say something inappropriate to someone that's the age of 16? That's disgusting. I wouldn't do it at the age of 26. It's disgusting, okay? But the law is the law. In Dr. Disrespect's country, where he's from, in America, I know that there are some states where the age of consent is 16, but I believe where he is, it's 18. So he has gone against the rules, technically, right? So, in my opinion, Dr. Disrespect is lying. He's trying to cover his own back because he cheated on his wife many years ago, okay? He addressed that himself, not in gimmick. He addressed that as himself, looking like fucking Freddie Mercury, okay? No wig, no anything. He was himself. He didn't do that this time. He didn't do that this time because he knows he's fucking guilty. That's what I think anyway. So, if you're a fan of Dr. Disrespect, I'm so sorry, but I'm not buying it. Lots of other people online are buying it, especially the ones who agree with me on the woke culture, okay? They're buying into it simply because of that. You can't sell out yourself to side with someone who's admitted to speaking to a minor inappropriately. No. If you do that, you're no better than the opposition you fight against. Fuck off. Fuck Dr. Disrespect. I don't believe a word he says. If he comes out with evidence, then sure, cool. I won't apologise. I'll say, sure, cool. And the reason I won't apologise is because of his actions so far. Okay, he's been very fishy, very dodgy, and has admitted to doing what he's been accused of, okay? So, fuck Dr. Disrespect. If he comes out with evidence to prove that he hasn't done this, cool. But so far he hasn't, and he just makes himself look more guilty, in my opinion, okay? So that's that out the way. Next, the Vince McMahon documentary trailer has been released, and personally, I think, because it's going to be a series, I think the first half is going to be nothing burger, boring, meh, unless they address the Ring Boys, right? If they talk about the Ring Boy scandal, which wasn't mentioned in the trailer, the first half might be worth watching, right? If they don't do that, they're going to cover the steroid trials. We all know about that, right? I think the majority of us really don't care anymore about that. Who cares? But the Ring Boy scandal, certainly we should care about that. And if it's not going to be addressed in the Netflix documentary, then the first half's going to be boring, nothing burger, probably licking Vince's arse. The second half, however, certainly will be covering the current allegations against Vince McMahon. Now, Conrad Thompson has gone on to say that this documentary is a complete burial of Vince McMahon, and WWE aren't happy about it. So, first of all, I don't know if this is true, because A, it's coming from Conrad Thompson, who's a podcast guy, right? He's not really a news person, he's a podcast guy. He takes all of the retirees, gets them to do a podcast, right? That's what Conrad does, okay? So, I wouldn't take any news from him, personally. Right? It's why I never really talked about the Shane McMahon stuff, because it was all coming from Conrad Thompson. Conrad Thompson isn't a news guy, he's a podcast guy, right? So, Vince McMahon himself is in this documentary, and it isn't an older version of Vince, it isn't from before, it's current Vince. He's gotten rid of the mustache, but it's definitely a recent Vince McMahon, because you can see he's had lots of Botox done, his face is a little bit plasticky, a little bit different, a little bit weird, right? So it is a recent Vince, and they're going to cover these allegations. Now, again, they need to make sure that these are determined as allegations, because nothing as of right now is factual. Now, you can say, but you just said this about Dr. Disrespect. Dr. Disrespect admitted to the fucking stuff he's been accused of. There's a massive difference. Massive difference. Dr. Disrespect admitted to it. Now he's trying to backtrack and act, and he's acting guilty in the process, okay? Vince, on the other hand, he hasn't really done any of that. In fact, he's not really said anything publicly. He's had legal teams say public things. But that was all to simply deny and say that these are lies, these allegations are false, which is what someone would do in that situation. So, hopefully they treat them as allegations and not factual, because if it comes out that, in fact, Janelle Grant is manipulating the truth so she can get money or whatever, right? That's going to look bad on Netflix. It's certainly going to look bad on all of the people who have called out Vince, especially CM Punk. CM Punk is someone that's blasted Vince McMahon for the allegations. Now imagine if it turns out that, yes, some of these things that happened were true, however, it was all consensual and nothing illegal happened. And it was all consensual, no manipulation. Janelle wanted this. All those people that shit on Vince, man, holy shit, they'd have a fucking shitstorm of things that they'd have to say, okay? This is why I'm trying not to point the finger at Vince McMahon, because as much as I don't like him for what he did to wrestling over the last 10 years or so, I can't let that bias cloud my judgment of serious allegations. I did it with Adam. I've apologised to Adam Blompier in the last video I did. And I'll never do that to someone again, okay? So I'm not going to do it to Vince. I have done it to Dr. Disrespect, but that's because, different situation completely. So, Vince is in this documentary. The Rock is in this documentary. Triple H is in this documentary. I think I saw Paul Heyman. I can't remember. I believe Paul Heyman might be in it. And a few other people, right? So, Bret Hart's in it. Bret Hart's going to shit all over Vince. He is. Bret Hart's going to shit all over Vince. Bret Hart shits all over anyone that isn't Canadian or has the last name Hart. Bret will shit all over them. I know one day he's going to shit all over CM Punk, and even though CM Punk's a big fan of Bret Hart, but one day Bret's going to come out and say, well, that CM Punk guy, he doesn't know anything. He doesn't have ideas. He's just a spoke in the wheel or something like that, because Bret is a very bitter, angry man. And to be fair, I don't blame him. But that's the Vince McMahon documentary trailer covered. Hopefully, we'll see what happens, man. We will see what happens. I'm just going to leave it there. Finally, AEW Dynamite. The ratings are in, man. 660,000 viewers. Now, usually I'd smile. I'd say, well, but I'm not going to do that today because it's very clear that AEW is dropping off considerably. They dropped off considerably a while ago, but it's dropping off even more now because I believe at the start of this year they were in the 800s still, because they was in the 800s for a while. Then they dropped down to the 7s, and then they was doing a mix of 6 and 7. Now they seem to be cemented in the 6s, which is very bad, okay? NXT, they're in a similar situation. They're cemented in the 6s and a little bit in the 5s sometimes, right? But NXT doesn't have any stars. NXT doesn't have any names that you must see, okay? They have Trick Williams. They have Ethan Page. They have Joe Hendry. But none of these people, as much as Joe Hendry went viral, none of these people are must-see, okay? Now, AEW had so many people that were must-see. They had CM Punk. They had, and I'm going to use WWE names here for reasons, they had Daniel Bryan. They had Edge. They had Dean Ambrose, Chris Jericho, okay? Adam Cole, who was over as fuck back in the day. Keith Lee, who was over as fuck. Got that big reaction with Brock Lesnar, okay? They had all these people, they had all these people that were at that time must see. Now none of them are must see. Because of, A, the booking. Tony Khan doesn't know how to book anything at all. B, the way some of these guys act, whether that be in the ring or online. FTR certainly have damaged their image with Dax Harwood being soft as fuck. Dax Harwood is the softest person alive, okay? How he had enough testosterone to make love and create a child is beyond me, because he acts like the sort of person who cries after intercourse. That's what Dax Harwood reminds me of, okay? Now, Edge, who thought he could bet on himself and go by the name Adam Copeland, that failed because he wasn't Edge. I've discussed this so many times, okay? I argued about this with Dave Meltzer, and Dave Meltzer blocked me, okay? I said Edge wouldn't be stupid enough to go to AEW because he wouldn't have the name Edge. Now, I was wrong because he was stupid enough to go to AEW. However, didn't have the name Edge. Career went downhill from there. Simply because he didn't have that name. He had everything else. He had the music. He had the You Think You Know Me. He had all that stuff. But he wasn't called Edge. And that was a big problem. Okay? Because he's Edge. Not Adam Copeland. Who wants to watch someone called Adam Copeland? He's Edge. But he's not Edge. That's the problem. Daniel Bryan, someone who's main evented 2 WrestleManias, someone who was a massive, massive star, right, during a time where I was on a break from wrestling, so I missed all the Yes Movement stuff, but at that time, massive. Everyone wanted Daniel Bryan, to the point where Daniel Bryan had, and I don't want to talk about this, but Conor the Crusher, right? We all remember Conor the Crusher. He was a huge Daniel Bryan fan. Daniel Bryan gave him what he wanted, right? And Conor the Crusher sadly passed away, right? Daniel Bryan was part of all that. Now, what's he doing? He's the AEW World Champion, Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon. But no one cares. No one cares. And the reason no one cares is, A, he's not called Daniel Bryan, which isn't that big of an issue, to be honest. Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, meh, same guy, right? It's not as bad as Edge, okay? It's not as bad as Edge. And the way he's just been since he's been at AEW, he's been injured so many fucking times since he's been at AEW, it's ridiculous, okay? The amount of times he's been injured is unbelievable. And he's going to end his full-time career there. Okay? The Blackpool Combat Club was something that could have been great. And it started off quite well. But it just went downhill. Wasn't really good. The guy from Blackpool left the company. So I don't know why they're still called the Blackpool Combat Club, right? So that takes us to Jon Moxley. Now, Jon Moxley. Oh man, Jon Moxley. One of the worst people going in AEW right now. But I can hear my daughter screaming, so we're going to have to fucking wrap this up. AEW Dynamite, 660k. They're dropping off considerably. People don't care anymore. I certainly don't. I don't think you do. I might stop covering AEW altogether. I might end Ratings Day, man, because this is getting boring. They're just going down. They stay in the same place to go down. Who the fuck cares? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below about all these topics. Dr. Disrespect, Vince McMahon, AEW Dynamite Ratings. Like, subscribe, follow me, and exit the Crossman25. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.